I had a car, I had a great salary, I had everything given to me. And I was like, no, I can make a change. I know I can make a change. And my change was more on the customer side than it was the carrier side. I wanted to help our customers identify cost savings. And there were so many things that when I was with the carrier, we were doing wrong, but we didn't, we really didn't tell the customer unless they found it. We would help them out. And I knew I could help the people that didn't know what I knew in the background.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rise and Grind. I'm your host, Thurl Bailey, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on an industry that keeps the entire world moving, but rarely gets the spotlight: logistics. Joining me is Shawn Shaw, the founder of GTMS. Shawn has spent his career mastering the complex, high-stakes world of shipping, turning industry frustrations into streamlined, innovative solutions. We're going to talk about the grind of building a business in a technical, fast-paced field, why visibility is the new currency in shipping, and how he navigated the changes of making an invisible industry work better for everyone. Shawn, appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Thurl.
Let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
First of all, I want to talk about your journey into this.
Yeah.
Take us back to the beginning. What was your path into transportation management, and what first drew you into the shipping world?
Back then, way back when I actually started as a driver, because I always wanted to drive. I wanted to be on the move somewhere, and started working for a company, Emery Worldwide. They were a heavyweight air freight company that handled heavyweight shipments worldwide. And after driving for them, I knew there was a better way and a better mousetrap in the logistics scene. So I started moving into management roles. And before I knew it, I was one of their leading directors for both domestic and international transportation.
So when was there a specific moment when you kind of realized at some point that you were all in on logistics? I know you started where you just talked about, and then you moved on. You wanted to kind of get out and see the world.
It was in 2003. It really hit me that there was better things that could happen in the logistics world. Being in the positions I was, everybody was talking about, where's my shipment? How do I see this? Where's my visibility worldwide? And unfortunately, the corporate business wasn't willing to go to that path. So that's when I started GTMS, and we started that path of visibility. We started by building the link between the carrier and the customer. Had a very good friend that was the customer service manager, had just over 300 employees, and 95% of their phone calls every day were, "Where's my package?" And that kind of started the journey of, I can help you with that. And we were able to help solve that with the visibility. That's the tracking link. So as soon as the customer would get their order, we would then attach the old clunky way. It was a tracking number, so they'd have to copy it, go to the carrier site, paste it, and track it. And as you know, technology it changes every day. Now it tells you, when the carrier's in your neighborhood. But I would say it was 2004, 5, and 6 that really opened my eyes to there's so much more that we can do to streamline the processes and how the world communicates.
I should let our listeners know GTMS stands for Global Transportation Management Solutions. And Shawn, in those early years, what did those early years teach you about the business of shipping that you maybe couldn't have learned in a classroom?
Oh, it's ever changing. Shipping is ever changing. And what I try to tell people is everything is shipped. Everything you touch, feel, look at, it is all shipped. And, the world's getting smaller now, but before it was so different just seeing transportation transform. From LTL to truckload to ocean to parcel. it's all been such a change, and a change I wanted to be part of.
Was there a school of hard knocks lesson that kind of stuck with you most as you kind of entered this field, this business?
Oh, absolutely. Let me count those for you. As I entered the business, yeah, there was quite a few of those that you can't learn in a classroom, and that is being in the trenches and truly understanding a supply chain. You've got people just see things arrive in a store, and what really doesn't teach you is, you got to have somebody that draws up an actual widget that they're going to make. They're then going to find the manufacturer that can manufacture that. Then they're going to have it actually manufactured. It's going to be picked up from a factory. It's then going to come overseas. It's going to go to a warehouse. And taking that, I didn't understand all of that other than we pick it up at the airport and we deliver it. It's pretty simple. And that was something that really surprised me, is really, well, why can't we pick this up from your warehouse? It says you have a PO for 40,000 of these. Let's get them picked up. And it's just not that simple. And that was a hard lesson learned, was, well, just tell the factory to go faster, make it happen. That was one. And then number two, I would say, is understanding the carriers and their capabilities. That was one really, really tough one to get. It really hit us hard, was understanding the carriers and the capabilities, and how do you actually lose a package? How do you lose a pallet? How do you lose a whole truckload? So yeah, I've had a few of those.
As I've learned more about this industry in the last 9 or 10 years, a lot of people would call it the invisible backbone of the economy. A lot of people don't understand, whether you have a business or just sending or delivering a package. You kind of describe some of the chaos that's involved in that. Did you have people tell you, don't do it? Don't get this business?
Absolutely. And I had it great. I had a car, I had a great salary, I had everything given to me. And I was like, no, I can make a change. I know I can make a change. And my change was more on the customer side than it was the carrier side. I wanted to help our customers identify cost savings. And there were so many things that when I was with the carrier, we were doing wrong, but we didn't, we really didn't tell the customer unless they found it. We would help them out. And I knew I could help the people that didn't know what I knew in the background. And that was building technology that monitored and watched what each of these carriers were doing.
Well, GTMS is built on visibility. It's built on control. Why are those two things so often missing in the industry? And why do companies struggle so much to get those things right?
So I'll give you an example. We had a customer that their challenge was, as soon as a product was ready, they would pay for it. And we built technology to help them with what we call an actual scan versus a virtual scan. And they would pay for something. And I'm sure you've ordered something online and 6 weeks later it shows up when you expected it that week. And what they struggled with was the technology of knowing, hey, it shows that they have a tracking number. Even though it shows that it has a tracking number, it doesn't mean anything's moving. So we help them understand, an actual scan and how that works. So that's one of the big things that they don't get as far as technology and how and understanding it.
Well, how does the lack of visibility actually hurt a company's bottom line?
Oh, it hurts tremendously. So, for example, we have another customer that their salespeople would give them things to sell. So they had promotional products, and they would say, okay, here's hoodies coming out. Companies would then order their hoodies for their logos for an event, and without the proper visibility, it wouldn't show up on time. So now you have a major event, a few hundred people at a golf tournament, for example, and you have no golf balls, no golf shirts, and no tees. That's where it hurts. That's one example. Another example is keeping manufacturing going. If there's not a part or products that come in for an American jean company, if their jean products don't come in, they're not making jeans. So they're shutting down manufacturing facilities every day without the right visibility.
It sounds like, some people may call shipping the unsung hero for business success. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the grind.
Mhm.
The show is about getting through that grind and making sure people kind of understand what it takes. One, not just to start a business, but to go through some of the things that you've already mentioned. You may have touched on this a little bit, but what were some of your biggest hurdles in trying to get GTMS off the ground?
I would say that some of the biggest hurdles were getting people to trust what you had, because the carriers, me as a salesperson, when I worked for the carriers, we educated our customers. And so they believed the carriers, not some guy coming off the street saying, hey, we know we can help you. And we would literally show them thousands of dollars in savings, but they would never go forward with us because we weren't helping them. We weren't the carrier. And they really didn't see a value. They didn't trust the value, I guess. And that's been our biggest challenge is, we take data every day. We show that there's opportunity, and it's unfortunately been a roadblock for us. And that's been the single hardest to get over is, hey, here's an opportunity, here's cost savings, and then they don't move forward with it. That's been super tough.
And you and I know well that change is difficult for some people, not just for people, but for companies. They get comfortable doing things the old way. You have people in that department who might feel threatened in a way from technology, like it's taking their job. Have you faced a lot of that? And what do you do? What do you say?
I have 4 out of 5 accounts. We face that today, where when we come in and we show cost savings opportunities, whether it's a carrier shift or negotiating a better contract with their carriers, and it's exactly what their job is. However, they see us as a threat, and they see us as trying to take their job from them and do this negotiation. And what I like to tell people is it's not taking your job. You do what you do best. We have literally hundreds of contracts, and it's our knowledge that you're paying for. We know what other contracts and people can get. It's just selling that over to the customer when they're threatened by you is nearly impossible, as you've seen. It's just so difficult to get people to say, yeah, take my job and do a better job for me. That's tough. That's tough for anybody. And then the change, you talk about change, it is nearly impossible. If somebody's been in this department for 10 plus years, the last thing they want to do is change because everything's working for them. It's clockwork. They can get through the day. You make change, and that interrupts a lot of things in the supply chain.
But it sounds like at some point they have to realize that they're falling behind, right? I mean,
Some
change is
do.
hard.
Some do, some don't. I've got some friends have been in the industry, as long as me, 25, 30 years, and they're still not willing to change. And you're right. They are falling behind, and things are definitely not looking good for them.
So based on that, how has the shipping world changed since you started, and how has GMS worked to stay ahead of those massive shifts?
So technology, we have some of the brightest technology people in the world, from, our technology leader and our operations. We try to stay ahead of what the carriers are doing, and they change every day. The post office, they have changed, 7 different times this last year. Rate increases, we're always challenged with, there's more and more expenses and tariffs. These tariff wars are crazy, and they're unfortunately putting some customers out of business. That's the bad part is, you have a customer that has so much margin in a product, and then we have a tariff come in, and now the tariff is more than what their product is worth. So it doesn't make sense for them to get into it.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk to Shawn a little bit more about the grind, but also his position, his leadership, his style of leadership. We'll be right back with more Shawn Shaw from GTMS in just a minute. Hey guys, time out. You give your best to your work, your family, and your responsibilities. But to keep showing up strong, you've got to stay dialed in. At Game Day Men's Health, the nation's leading men's clinic, they help you get back in the game with a custom game plan built around your labs, your goals, and your performance. Testosterone, peptides, real optimization. Come in today for a free testosterone test and consult. Tell them Big T sent you, and you get 50% off your first-year membership. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Victory starts within. All right, everybody, welcome back to Rise and Grind. I'm Thurl Bailey, your host. We've been talking to the President and CEO of GTMS, Global Transportation Management Solutions, about really what's been called the invisible backbone of the economy, which is shipping. Shawn, I want to get into more about your leadership, your thoughts on leadership. When you think about leadership, what have you learned from building GTMS that applies to life beyond what you do in business?
You know, leadership I have learned from my mentors. I've got a director of operations, Carl Bernson, that's been with UPS. I had another mentor, and leadership is all about getting people to buy into what your vision is. And it's not necessarily your vision, but it's a team vision. And I truly think if you work as a team and you have that vision, you can lead anybody into making things happen. And that's what we've done. We've taken people that know nothing about transportation, but given them a vision in this is where we want to be. This is how we can help our industry. This is how we can help the people we work with, and getting them to buy into what I believe is the right path for the company and the right path for growth.
Well, it's inevitable that things are going to and are chaotic at times.
Yes.
How do you keep your team focused? That world gets chaotic.
Letting them know that chaos, there comes calming as well. We just have to make it through the chaos. But really getting them to buy into you and letting everyone know, hey, we're going to get through whatever chaos, like the tariff wars or COVID, for example. We were fortunate enough that we kept the company going, didn't lose anybody. We were a necessity, so we had to work. But unfortunately, we went almost 7 months without being paid from multiple customers, just because their accounting departments weren't working, but
Right.
you had to keep everything going. The trucking company's the same way, and what I think is as a leader is making sure everybody knows and understands where you want to go and how you want to get there.
Well, I know for a fact that you do some fun things for the people that work for you, some things that recognize them. Talk about some of I know you're an outdoorsman. Talk about some of the things that you and your wife, Kaylin, do to keep your employees excited about coming to work and excited about doing the things that they do.
Oh, I have to give her all that credit. She's great for that. But no, we do some great barbecues around here. We got some Traegering. I elk hunt, obviously, and I think everybody's favorite's the elk burger still. And then we have a lot of international people, so we'll celebrate their holiday on their holiday. So Matslenista is a Russian holiday that we celebrate. And then we do a lot of team building exercises and try to keep everybody as involved as possible. But yeah, we like to do all kinds of stuff with our people to keep them involved, keep it like they're all part of the family. They're all part of the same group. And I think that's very important, that every month something like that happens. We do recognition, but that's just, hey, you've been here this many years, and we do appreciate them, but we like to show them a little bit more. And we do GTMS Day, which is our own personal holiday, where we take everybody golfing or a baseball game the night before. We go see the Bees, and then the next day we do a golf tournament. And it's usually chaos, like our logistics is, and but have a great time doing it, and and give everybody kind of that day off to say, hey, we appreciate you, and this is GTMS's day today.
This might be more of a personal question. How do you unplug from a 24/7 industry?
I don't know that you really unplug in a leadership role, because there's a new challenge every single day. And overcoming those challenges, you've got to be 3 steps ahead. And we like to, inform our customers and stay ahead of what the industry's doing. I get a lot of industry news from other industry leaders just to help us understand where are we going, what are we doing. A few weeks ago, we knew that the president was going to start adding additional tariffs. So to those countries, we tried to get that out to our customers before it was announced and stay ahead of the game. But I don't know that you truly unplug. I talked to Galen about this, and 24 years it's been since we've had a vacation that you really have a vacation. You don't take a laptop, you don't answer emails and phone calls and texts. So it's really, you really don't unplug, I guess.
Yeah, I think I knew the answer to that. I just wanted
You see those 3:30 a.m. emails.
Yeah. So Shawn, a lot of our listeners are business owners, some big, some medium-sized, some small business owners. What would you say to them? I mean, logistics and shipping, something everybody has to deal with. What message would you give them? And yeah, maybe a pitch somewhat, but also to help them understand how important this is as a part of their business.
I would tell them this can make you or break you, and don't be afraid to get outside help like a GTMS. We have this knowledge. We know where we can take most of these customers as far as cost goes, as far as what's going to happen in the industry if there's a strike going to happen, because for many of these companies like COVID, it can make or break whether you stay in business or not. Mm-hmm. And whether you're profitable. And, everybody talks about margin and EBITDA, but logistics is a very high cost for every company out there that does business.
I'm going to hit you with a few rapid fire questions as we wind down here. Give me one shipping trend you're watching most.
One shipping tariffs. We're watching tariffs on the water. Because of where these tariffs go. Again, we can go from a 12% tariff to a 60% tariff, and the goods are no good. You talk about somebody that sells small widgets or something like that. It truly hurts them. So we're watching really what is the industry doing on the tariff side.
What's the most satisfying part of solving a shipping crisis for a company?
Oh, I'd say once you hit that home run and the impossible is done, they say it can't be done, and they make that event that they were going to miss, you pull that rabbit out, and it happens. So that's the most satisfying. Or a company is struggling and you find a few $1 million to put to their bottom line. That is just, I just feel so good about, hey, you have more margin. You can now take care of your people. We keep rolling as a group.
Best habit for staying productive.
The best habit is set yourself a time. This is what time I'm going to start. This is what time I'm going to end. But being productive is set that time of when you're going to start.
One book or resource that changed your thinking.
I would say managing people effectively was probably, it changed me more than anything as a leader. Instead of saying, I'm up here, you do as I say. And I got also Jeremy Sabas, who was the CEO for both Skull Candy and Traeger, was a great mentor. And he was always hire people smarter than you, and you will have a great company. And not that that's hard to do, but we have a great company because of that.
I think part of this too is marrying somebody smarter than you too.
Well, absolutely. I'll never tell her, but yes, I married way up. She married way down.
One word that describes your leadership style.
We can all do it together. So I would say togetherness.
Togetherness, I like it. Before I let you go, I'm amazed how easy it is for these companies. You talked about collecting data.
Yeah.
Talk to our listeners about how that's done. If a company was interested, I know they go to GTMS.us, but what's the process in gathering this information for companies to kind of see where they need to start?
It's really pretty simple because they can go to like their parcel carriers. It's really simple. It's billing data. We don't want all their secrets. We just want their billing data to see where they're at. So it's really simple to go online to FedEx, UPS, and DHL, get that billing data. And then we can really run them a free analysis and say, hey, you're either best in class or here's where we can help you reduce cost. And that goes for LTL, Ocean. There's a lot of electronic data out there today, and that's really simple to get.
And where are some of the areas, I know we didn't really dig into this deeply, what are some of the areas that you find that companies have been able to find savings in the shipping?
I would say the number one is they're being charged incorrectly, the incorrect rate, because they're so difficult. They put these rate sheets together and there's 5 line items per rate that you have, a freight rate, then you have a fuel percentage rate compared to the freight rate. Then you have accessorials that are on top of that and what are discounted, what are not discounted. And we see that more than anything. And unfortunately, most of our competitors, we don't ever see them do that type of a freight rate analysis and cost savings for our customers. That would be the number one.
Shawn, we appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you coming on the show. This is, I think when people listen to this, they will understand how important, again, I mentioned it before. Some say it's the invisible backbone of the economy. I truly believe that.
Yes.
Because it affects everyone in some way, shape, or form.
It does.
And so thank you for coming on. Very, very, very educational time with you, and also a great time to find out your history and how you developed this idea. So thank you so much, my friend, for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Another episode of Rise and Grind. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. In the meantime, keep rising, keep grinding. Thurl Bailey signing off. See you later.